It's the new Cobra Hammerhead. It's 6 vehicles in one with sleds, attack submarines, and flight pods with missiles that really fire.
Welcome back to Retro Wednesday. It's Ty Hammerhead. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about one of the greatest vehicles ever made in the G.I. Joe toy line, and that is the 1990 Hammerhead. 1 year ago, I set out on a mission to take a look at everything G.I. Joe from 1982 to 1994. I did it in 14 videos. That's here on the channel if you want to check it out. But I said I was not going to buy any more vehicles while I did that. I bought a few and said this is just getting too much, and I put all that off till after I was done with the 503 figures. Now, those videos are done, but while I did it, there were two that stood out that I had to absolutely have these two. And one of them is a Hammerhead. I might show what the other one is at the end of this and do a full video about that. We're going to have the lightning round, as with every vehicle review on the channel. But with all this, Titanium Hanger presents Hammerhead coming up. Starting out the video, we're going to talk about the Decimator, the driver of this crazy thing that we're about to take a look at. He does come with a helmet, and it is kind of rubbery, and it comes off nice and easy. Underneath, he's got what appears to be a similar head sculpt to a lot of these figures, where you don't really see the face. And so I guess they might have reused the head sculpt, I don't know. But you put it back on, it's got a little bit of yellow in there, and some charcoal, and it matches. The paint actually matches very well to the dyed plastic, which I guess that color is pretty simple. And he does have quite a bit going on with all of these gray accents, light gray accents on him, and some green pants. And then his boots right there. Doesn't really look super aquatic. He does not ever look like he plans to get out of his vehicle. But if he has to, he has a triple tri-harpoon. This thing is hard to get your hands on. So yeah, I have to admit that. It is a tough little sucker to get your hands on one of these little harpoon guns. So these drivers, I'm not sure if he was offered. They usually offer them the next year as a mail-away. 90s kind of changed up things where it wasn't as easy to get them, it appears. Taking a look at the file card, Cobra Island is surrounded by open beaches, which are, at the very least, hostile environments for tanks of any sort. The Hammerhead was specifically developed to function in shallow coastal waters, sand, and scrub vegetation. Sacrificing heavy armor protection for speed and agility, the Hammerhead requires the driver with lightning-fast reflexes and exceptional peripheral vision with that mask. The wide-angle image intensifier unit built into the Decimator's helmet offers him a 180 view in almost complete darkness. The image he sees is compressed in the same manner used for widescreen movie titles when they are shown on TV. In essence, he can keep the target in front of him at all times and get a perfectly clear shot at it without even turning his head. This is extremely advantageous when fighting a speeding vehicle on a flat beach. The Hammerhead driver Decimator. For the vehicle itself, it is quite a massive vehicle. Has a lot going on with it, and that's one of the things I like the most about it. But also, it's not super huge. This isn't in the size scale, which we'll do some scale size down the road. But it's not like the Rolling Thunder or some of these other ginormous ones. And it's just big enough to feel satisfying, but not so big that it's impossible to display. And with that, it's touted as 6 vehicles in one. It accommodates 7 figures. Unless you're real creative, then it can accommodate so many more. And I am a little creative. I'll show you some of that. It is indeed shaped like a Hammerhead. And having all these little vehicles that can fly off of it, it is quite an interesting toy. And a lot of fun could have been had with this. This has the fun factor with it. This has so much going on that it's almost hard to just get your mind around what's going on with this vehicle. Here's the back view of it, and with that, there's not much going on in the rear, except its spoiler, and we'll be getting into all these features because now it's time for the lightning round. Features include a sophisticated nose ballast system for deep sea operations. Also, looks like it's good for ramming. 2 twin high-energy bow laser machine guns. An adjustable 2 forward visual scan flip-up hatches to reveal a driver. And a Cobra Commander. Snapshot. Upper deck airborne / undersea command module with pivoting radar unit and antenna. So much fun. Surface skimming diversionary sea sled scout craft that is removable and armored. CNET penetrating low noise attack sub with missile firing capability. And boy, does it fire and is removable. Non-sinking titanium and fiberglass hull. That's where OceanGate got the idea. UABM Sonic Disintegrator Missile Firing System with extra missiles. Undersea Pressurized Decompression Chamber, or what kids would call storage. Behind it was what they call a Slight Rise Directional Stabilizer Base, or the top. Inverted Nut Enhancing Stabilizer Fin, also known as the spoiler, also known as a secondary storage for your radar. And it has wheels that roll. My favorite part of the vehicle review is the lightning round. It's a lot of fun to go quickly through all of the features, and now we can slowly go through them. But these adjustable guns are a whole lot of fun. And the thing about it is that these look like something that would go with a whole different toy line. Just the color of it, you very seldom see anything in this toy line with that color. Maybe it's similar to the water moccasin, but they call those the high energy bow laser machine guns. This front piece really looks, they said it was lightweight, and when they described what it was made of, I kind of understand now, but it looks like, in my mind, as a kid, you'd use it to ram into stuff, you know, because it's a hammerhead. And then, yeah, it's the hammerhead. I would think you'd ram into stuff with it. Let's just go over the main vehicle here a little bit more. We have this up here, and they actually said that the cockpit is an airtight, self-contained control center. So we can go up here to this. But what I find really interesting about this is when this pops up, you got the missiles in there, and you can rotate this. It's made to rotate, and then it can be in an up position. So let's flatten it out a bit. It just looks to me like if you bring it up, it will stay up, sort of. Then you can have this whole, it's like it changes the whole look of this thing when you have this in the up position. And I like that. I like different options and features, although it doesn't really work really well. It's not super stable. That whole thing that rises up there with the missile launcher shaft. I think they call it a missile launching shaft. And that is kind of a cool feature. And when this thing does come off and fly away, and it has a decimator in it. So that's, you gotta, see, that's the thing. You would say the driver should be driving, but when you have more than one person decimating. And then this one actually comes with torpedoes also that clip in with a dog bone. I know one of the problems with this piece, people say that these break, so you got to be careful about that. And then when we get to this missile launching shaft here, we definitely, it takes a little getting it into. So what happens is there are two little tabs in there, and I bet you on some these are broken. And then there's two connector ports, so you got to get both connector ports for these missiles in place to hold it in place. If you only got one and it's wanting to fall out, and then they still kind of rotate like this. Now I don't know if that might be a feature that you want to do with it, to open these missiles as if they're about to shoot out like that. If that's a feature that you want, I don't know. They should all move back in and go down, rotate it till you get the sweet spot and it goes down, and then there we go. And back to this guy right here, there's not much more to it. The instructions do show you how to build it, because obviously everything has to get built. Now this thing here, there's a long end, a short end, and then two clippy clip sides, and you want to get it in there just right. Now for the decompression chamber, it opens up and it can hold and store some stuff. I use it to store the extra missiles and stuff that I have with this guy, and then you can look and see the detail that's in there, and it does look like it has a seat. And I do want to point out something about the decompression chamber, because Hammerhead can safely fit Hammerhead. So you can have a Hammerhead in the Hammerhead And if you don't think that's funny, I'm sorry. I can't help but notice it just feels like something's missing. And we're going to get to the other vehicles, but this space here feels wasted. Now, what can you do with it? Well, if you could integrate another vehicle, like, say, the Fang, and store it there, stow it away, that would work very well. I like that. That's a good idea. Another idea that would work, and you know, you're talking old school Joe guy here, is if you put one of these on here. You could put a trouble bubble on it. You could fit stuff on there, and I'm sure there's some 90s stuff that fills that gap there. But yeah, lots of ideas that I have for that spot. Now let's look at the CNET penetrating low noise attack sub. This is kind of interesting. First thing I want to point out is it is set up, it is sort of keyed. Like you have this notch coming out of it, and that notch goes into there. There's a notch for accepting this. Exactly right. And I was kind of curious how they pulled this off, and now it makes sense. Now, if you go to try to pick the vehicle up from this, it's a very big mistake, so do not do that. So let's pull this guy on. Now, it's kind of interesting because it does have a usable spinning turbine in the back there, and that is kind of fun that it has that. It also has these torpedoes and this missile firing mechanism, which pops off. I can't see anywhere else you can put this on the vehicle. So this is the only place that I see that you can use it. And then you have the front nose cone tip, and then these are prone to yellowing. I don't think any are super white. It never was. I think it's kind of that, it's kind of an off-white to start, but it starts turning yellow. I want to point out that I got a, what is this, like a 2008 or later Baroness in there. If you do get a bigger figure, like a newer figure, the 25th anniversary, the anniversary stuff, you will probably need to do a little bit of finagling to get them in there just right, but they will fit. She's probably a bad one to pick because of her hair pushing the canopy up. But aside from that, she fits fine, and the figures fit fine. I just wanted to have a figure to show representation of a couple of modern figures in vintage vehicles, because modern figures usually fit just fine in these vintage vehicles. And because I only have a few Decimator figures, I would think you'd want to populate this with either all Decimator figures or all your favorite figures. Now for the surface skimming diversionary Sea Sled Scout Craft. It literally just slides right off, and it is made to fit on there. It's got this notch, and the sides go in just right to kind of hold in place. It just fits on with no trouble. It does have a clip so your figure doesn't fall out. And I'm starting to see with this vehicle another vehicle I really like from, was it even the 90s? Was it the late 80s? The Bug. And as you can see, I've got some Secto Vipers. I like Secto Vipers. I have a few. Probably don't have nearly enough for my collection, but I have enough to show some extras on this with this sled. Now you do have these two torpedoes, which we've seen the torpedoes on the other one there. So all of the vehicles have the same torpedoes. If we can scroll up, this control module has torpedoes, and so does this one. It has torpedoes, and that is a whole lot of fun. It is kind of cool, but this is the same kind of gimmick that we got with the Bug. Now we're gonna do a side by side with the Bug, because this has so many similarities to the Bug, but it's like the Bug was great, but the idea of you have 3 vehicles that come off of it, that's cool, but why not 6? Or why not 5 vehicles that come off of it, make it 6? Bug is technically 4. And I like the idea. I have a whole bunch of extras, one of these. I think like 7 of these. This is a fun little idea to have on a Bug display shelf. I don't think I'm going to go so far as to have a whole bunch of these, but this is way cooler than this. In fact, this was, I like a Sea-Doo. I don't like these stand-up ones at all, but it's a cool gimmick, cool idea. That's why I kind of bought into it. That is actually way cooler. It's closer to what I think of when I think of Sea-Doos and stuff. Once you take everything else off of it, there's not much left. You're not left with much. But in my mind, this is still kind of like where some ramming would go on. I would set up some building blocks that's a Joe base, and this would ram into a Joe base. I mean, that is where this still would fit in and be fun. And then, of course, you want to go check in with home base and all that kind of stuff. But this is a whole lot of fun having this. And the cool thing is that these are exactly the same. These are exactly the same. This is the only one that you only get one of. And pray you don't break your antenna. Next up, we've got the bug, and I really feel like the bug was a prelude to this. Not so much that they said we want to make the bug, then we want to make this. I think that the bug itself was an amazing vehicle, and I should check the year because I might feel silly. It might be 91 or something, but I thought it was like 88 or 89 that this one was the one that came out. And it has so much going on for it, but it does feel a lot like they made it bigger and gave it more stuff to do with the Hammerhead than with the bug. And they're both aquatic. They're both in the sea. They both take up a lot of space, but this one is just a tad bit bigger than the bug. So if you're thinking, well, I've got a bug, would this fit my space? Well, it depends on how much forward space you have, or if you want to do it sideways. Pretty close to the same size. You just got about a couple of inches on the front there. And width-wise, it may be a little bit wider because of the other vehicles. But then again, we have these ramps there, the sleds. This comes off. This opens up, but about the same size. So many similarities. Here it is next to the G.I. Joe Well, probably the greatest vehicle ever made in G.I. Joe. And this feels like a 90s version upgrade of something that would go up against the Whale. I do feel like this would go against the Whale. I do know for a fact this Hammerhead does not float. The Whale does float. So, gotta say, the greatest, the GOAT of G.I. Joe, this holds its own against it. So I look at the 1990 G.I. Joe Hammerhead. I think it is one of the top tier vehicles in the vintage toy line. Underrated, unknown about. A lot of people don't even know about this, including myself, until I did that 13 years, but 14 videos about vintage G.I. Joe. And with this is one of the best vehicles. I love that it's 6 vehicles in one. I love the way it looks. I love the colors. I love the neon. I like what they did with this. I like that you could sort of really work at it, accommodate the 2008 figures on the modern era. And with that, you can, of course, accommodate all the modern today era of O-rings coming back. And this vehicle will probably never get made ever again. Now is the best time to pick one up. Hard to get this thing complete. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. And the other vehicle that I thought was amazing and I had to get was this guy. But it's going to be about a month till I do this review. Put your hanger out.
Cobra Hammerhead comes with driver.
Now for the vehicle itself, it is massive.